Joyce, very
Yes.
nice to see you here today. I get to speak with you quite frequently about ecosystems, and I'm really happy that you're here today to talk to our bigger audience about it and share some of your insights.
Really excited about it. And yeah, we spoke a lot really about exciting things, what's going on in the channel and how, for me, from my position within Ingram Micro, we're trying to solve for a lot of these complexities that come across all these changes. I'm super excited for today.
Yeah, so let's level set for those who don't know you as well as I do. You've been very busy. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what you've been up to and how you've got to where you are today talking about ecosystems?
Yeah, sure, I will. Thanks for that. Yeah, so I'm actually started my journey 7.5 years ago with Ingram Micro. I still work for Ingram Micro, so I started the journey, and I'm still not, I still haven't completed that journey yet and you will find out, later today about all these things that keep me busy and keep me excited in doing what I do every day. But I started 7.5 years ago, actually as an inside sales within our Dutch organization. So our Dutch Ingram Micro organization in the cloud business, start selling Office 365. That was the name, back in the days. And what really excited me about that was not just, selling licenses and helping our partners understanding the new world of, they're not so much like investing in a prepaid license. They can run, 2010 for like years. And moving into that subscription business with Office 365 as their first, entry to that. What really got excited me is what's behind that and the impact on their overall businesses. To really grow in my role and in my career, I really had to understand as well, the technical complexities behind that. And when we were actually launching Microsoft Azure, my journey expanded from selling, SaaS subscriptions towards talking about IaaS and PaaS platforms, which has even a much bigger impact on organizations. I've proven myself in that, in being able, in a like entry leadership position to succeed. And it got me the opportunity to move up to a mid-level leadership position, which is leading actually the entire sales team of the Dutch cloud team. Which got even more excited. And it was great, not only from that perspective and help others, as a starting individual in this cloud business, but also, talking to our partners on more strategic levels and helping them moving forward with their customer businesses. And I did that for a while. And then I actually, from then on, I think it was like 5 years or something in total in the Dutch organization. And then I got this really exciting opportunity as this like Dutch girl to move to the United States and to join a position in our headquarters as the lead for our IaaS business globally, expanding our portfolios, expanding, the strategic area and direction of the role and driving actually a global team myself as I'm building that one out right now. So really exciting. And because of the pandemic, and all of that, I only was able to move here, 8 months ago. So I'm here in California, very happy, it's always sunny. So, I do not regret the fact of leaving the cold Netherlands behind, although I miss Amsterdam a little bit. But
Of course. That's something really interesting, which I like this phrase of selling SKUs. When we do our research in the market and we do our secret shopping or we do portfolio assessments, we find that there are still a lot of companies out there that are selling SKUs. And we know that customer stickiness and better profitability is the way to go. So what should companies focus on in order to increase that profitability? Where are you telling them to go, and what sort of things are you telling them to do?
Yeah, so before going into that, I think it's good to say that, that this has been a huge focus for us as well. And we are aligning our organization as well to really support the channel proactively in determining the right focus points to really help them increasing profitability with what we call identified growth practices. And that's actually the answer to that question. And those growth practices are actually in areas around where we see high demand. So it's actually around high demanding themes in the market. As an Ingram Micro organization, we will always be needing to seek new values in driving new business opportunities and profitability opportunities for partners. And those growth practices are the enablers for that. And actually, depending on who we're talking to, right, it can be a solution, but it does not necessarily have to be a solution. What they all actually have in common is that they are areas where we see the most future demand and where we identify a huge opportunity for channel partners to really drive their services and solutions at a scale to meet the customer needs and drive growth with them. And just not only growth today and now, but also growth in the future and preparing them for that. And without giving all the, let's say, details of those growth practices, as this is, one of the topics at our annual Cloud Summit event that is coming up in May in Miami, I can already share a little bit on. I can share a little bit of our direction. It will be all about, the opportunity is all about leveraging technologies available within the hyperscalers. And this goes bigger than just leveraging the technology there. It's including, embracing new routes to market. For example, for ISVs to really partner with these hyperscaler marketplaces moving forward and listing their offerings there, and for partners to be able to reach it from those platforms as well.
We've been talking today about how partnering, as you're just describing, is really a way for a company to do more with less, and to use maybe even a partner to help position themselves with a differentiator. A lot of times we talk about IP as being technology, but it could just as easily be a process or a different skill set.
Exactly. And to your point, right, like around IP and other kind of like growth practice teams, that these new routes to market can also, enable to get there faster. But around these teams, it's around like digital, app modernization, cyber, data analytics and AI technologies, actually. That's solving for helping partners, deliver better business outcomes to customers. And that's the direction that we are going super big in, moving forward into this year. That's
the job I'm going to come back and do in my next lifetime, data analytics.
Yeah.
We'll do really well. Any best practices out there that you can point us toward? Anyone doing this really well?
Yeah. And I do have a couple best practices to share, but also to want to point out that that's super important for us in how we actually engage and profile partners and really indicate, what partners' probability are on driving success on particular growth areas. Because of course, the attributes that partners need they could be different for the various growth areas that we're talking about. But for example, we profile our partners based on, the important attributes to the business side, as well as the technical side in those technology pieces, actually. And those two dimensions are really crucial for driving, those advanced growth practices. And we actually do see that partners who have the sufficient, scorings on both angles, they are actually driving the best success, and they are most successful as they have the understanding, about it, but also the ability to scale. And they have the customer base. So they really, own it on all sides, which is critical for driving the growth practice areas that we've just mentioned. And we can actually, based on that, we can help partners as well who might not be there yet to develop their logical routes to success, and based on the best practices that we've seen with other partners. And we could guide them all the way from optimization to security, and later to transformation and innovation stages. And interestingly is, if we, for example, take the IaaS area as an example, we do really see that partners who actually are at the start of their transformation, they choose to invest in the technical wing first. I mean, they got to do it both, but they choose in the technical wing first, with training, gaining competencies, and do all that before they scale and accelerate on that business side, which is on itself, I mean, it might sound like logical, but it also takes the most time, before they can go to market. And now it comes, the best practice, the things that I have to share for those partners is the best practice is to partner with us, with others, really to help you accelerate, time to market and gain skills while start selling with the support of the partner behind you.
It's a completely different way of thinking.
Exactly.
About your business model and how to service your customers. And it's great that you're pushing this along. I know that you also are taking a look at what I would call ambition or propensity to want to move forward, and that's all about attitude. And when we talk about ecosystems and partnering, I think a lot of it comes down to having the right mindset to want to go out there and do that. So it's super that you're rewarding those that are standing up and raising their hands.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's really important to us. Yeah.
So they're standing up, raising their hands in order to offer better customer service. Are you generally seeing any changes in the market right now? Everyone's talking about the changed customer expectations since the pandemic. What are you seeing from your perspective?
So a couple of things, actually, there's a lot going on. But to your point around the customer expectations. So if we bring it down to, the specific, maybe like say solution area, so the things that partners bring to customers, we really saw a lot of demand last year. And it's still continuing though, but it was more around remote work, collaboration, and business continuity areas. That was really accelerated, to your point, by the pandemic. And what we see now changing in there is that we see customers are now more and more in need of, let's say, digitizing their user experiences and getting, the value from their data. So they're getting more comfortable. And I mean, can we thank the pandemic for that? I think yes or no. But yeah, they're getting more comfortable with their accelerated fashion towards, cloud technology, and now start to see hey, how can we enhance that user experience and how can we now do smart things with data? And that can be accomplished actually by partners focusing on technologies and building solutions around, app modernizations, as well as, scaling data and analytic solutions that will really cause, the business outcome result that customers are looking for today and in the future and tomorrow.
There's some slick marketing applications out there as well. If you get better analytics around your marketing and your customer set, then you can go deeper and address those white spaces. So another use case to add to that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and there are more changes that we are seeing. I mean, this is particularly on, let's say, the kind of solution areas that customers are driving more, are asking for more demand, or actually are demanding more. But we also see a massive change in general, the way technology will be positioned moving forward. It's all about making it customer-centric, focusing on the business outcome, where we should be guiding partners on how they should go to market with that business outcome messaging that they are, often struggling with, that we hear. And it's not so much more around the technology solution, what's behind it. So you see that, customers will be actually driving, transformation decisions moving forward in all these areas. With a good example, right, around those hyperscaler marketplaces to come back with, you see that customers are actually finding their own ways to transact software products on these marketplaces, rather than just asking their partner or asking their partner to go through us, for example. They more and more finding their own ways. And that's because, I mean, the way, of course, software can be transacted gets actually more user-friendly. So that's the experience they're looking for, and it gets more accessible. And you see that the role of those IT partners is going to change, because those customers are more in need for business partners rather than the IT partner. So that's also like an important actually change that we are seeing just in general when we are not touching solution-specific topics on how we see that dynamic changes between those both parties.
It's interesting. I'll do a plug now, a shameless plug for Dave Sobel, who does the Business of Tech podcast. He was talking about a week ago about how much would you pay for a product or service online versus in person or through some physical purchasing process. So how much are you willing to spend? And he found that there were services offered that people are actually buying up to 500,000 euro, €1 million. And people are perfectly happy to buy a car, buy a house, buy other services online without any kind of physical interaction. What we expect from a consumer side is really starting to bleed over, as you were saying, into the high tech world. Finally.
Yeah. And that's super interesting, right? And it's all because it's becoming so much more accessible. And that's what we are trying to setting up partners for that success, for doing that, through our ecosystems that we are building, with having the viewpoint on not so much just on both areas where we used to have the viewpoint on the vendor side and translating that into something that a partner needs, but now also having the viewpoint around the customer side, and really everything that's customer driven, translate that back to the partner and to the vendors, and making sure our ecosystem connects that translation of the right messagings around that to expedite that process.
You've said the magic word for the day, ecosystems. So in your view, what is an ecosystem? Maybe we start with that, and then also how can it help today's market?
Yeah, well, what an ecosystem? When you Google it, you get a different translation of that, of course. But for me, it's really a place where customers, buyers, vendors all come together in a world to find joint synergies for the business. So that's for me what it is, and that what Ingram Micro is building out with their ecosystem. But yeah, if it's helping, definitely, if you ask me, it's helping partners in so many, critical areas. I mean, not only partners, right? But let's focus on that for now. But it helps with speed to market. It provides opportunities to reduce costs with them, because we help them, not only being flexible, but also with the whole operation model of doing business. It helps them, gain resilience, as well as it brings a lot of, innovation capabilities to them. Because actually in all markets, what we are seeing, I'm small, mid-sized enterprise, we see that channel partners are lacking capabilities, and customers are really looking for things such as shifting towards automation, accelerate the cloud, customer experience. I keep saying this, as well as looking for ways to have an e-commerce and marketplace experience, which is customer-centric. So that ecosystem brings that all together, and that's why I think it's definitely helping.
So it sort of brings everything to hand that you might need.
Exactly. Yeah, it simplifies that whole complexity of, indeed, like what vendors, what partners, what customers, what everyone needs for their business.
There are a lot of moving parts in that. Where does Ingram Micro stand here? Your own ecosystem, partnering with other ecosystems. Where are you going with it?
Yeah, so we have actually built already our ecosystem, and we have a pretty robust channel ecosystem globally, if I may say so. We own one of the world's most powerful commerce engines with Cloud Blue. And that's something, through a set of acquisitions, we brought it to the product that it is. And for us, it's our focus in there is much more about how can we expand our ecosystem with even more capabilities and more partnering opportunities to support, that future need of channel partners. And to give, a few examples of that partnering, like the new partnering ways, because yes, we are expanding our portfolios and our offerings and capabilities, but it's also about how can we ensure that our ecosystem gets leveraged in the new way? And that's all around partnering. So, for example, hyperscaler marketplaces. We definitely do not see that as a competitive play, as some might think. And I get that question a lot. And what's your attack plan against it? And I'm like, it's not a competition play for us. It's complementary. It's, for us, it's just another route to market, right? And it can be integrated with our platforms and enriched with, the analytics and the management capabilities that we can offer. And as long as it's connected in some way, or maybe the offerings are published through us and through our support, honestly, it doesn't really matter where the transaction takes place anymore. And that's really the concept of that interconnected ecosystem that Ingram Micro is building out. And also, as well, that's part of it, right? That's part of how we see the merge between all these digital marketplaces. We see ourselves, not to sound arrogant, right? But it's an ambition of Ingram Micro, and it's something that our technology already can handle. That's really to become that master of ecosystems out there. So we really embrace that.
I don't think it's a matter of being arrogant. How long has Cloud Blue been in the market?
Wow, that's I think when I came on board, over 5 years.
Yeah, so they're early days in the market. Experience builds confidence. So did a lot of heavy lifting earlier on, and so there's definitely something to be said for your learnings.
Yeah, and it was there already longer. All the components that we've acquired, which all makes up Cloud Blue, right? All those components were already there for years. But Cloud Blue on itself, how we branded it, that's indeed like a newer version of all of it, right? And it's not just one acquisition that made it Cloud Blue. It's a couple of unique things and unique technology products that we saw in the market that we combined together to really, help with these kind of matters and to be at the forefront of building these interconnected ecosystems.
So 2 different views: brand new partner in the market, or let's say a partner that has been in the market many, many years, so lots of experience and already a customer base. What advice would you give them about getting into ecosystems, and would it be different?
Well, from the experience, no. It's the same ecosystem, but definitely when you talk about their needs are different, and our ecosystem operates in a way that we can accommodate the needs of every partner in their way. So if we talk about a starting partner that is in the need to specialize themselves, and that ecosystem can help them specialize and help them with building IP, but that's for beginning partners pretty far away. So what they can do is marry with, we can marry them up with more advanced and experienced partners in our ecosystem who already have specialized themselves, so that they could both, in a partner-to-partner motion, can both go joint, to the customer with providing that solution. So while there is the same kind of experience between everyone has access to, our expertise, our capabilities, our people, what we provide to them is definitely different. And for experienced partners, it's not just using our ecosystem then to specialize. It could be if they want to explore other areas. You cannot really specialize in everything anymore. That's also what we've learned today, right? are certain areas that you always need other partners for to support you, because customers are more demanding, and there is no way that you can do it all by yourself. So as they are still in need maybe for some of these things, they could see our ecosystem even as a huge, huge funnel for new opportunities to drive their specialization and their services with other partners in there.
Interesting. So an existing partner that may say no to a potential customer or a prospect because they're not as confident about their capabilities could then turn to you and your ecosystem and be equipped with the right partners.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And that's the role that we want to make sure that our ecosystem plays more and more and more. And we have some great use cases how we do that, within that business application space. But we do want to do the same things in the cyberspace with IaaS and the hyperscaler practice. We want to make sure there are more areas unlocked for partners to collaborate with each other. And that all according to the standards and the let's say the unified standards of the Ingram ecosystem, so that the experience in doing that remain the same and unified.
And back to that mindset question that we were talking about a little bit earlier, gut feeling. How comfortable do you feel? Do you think that your partners are about this whole concept of partnering up?
Well, I think they're a little hesitant doing that. And speaking with partners myself, I know they are. But it's also, and I think that's an important role that we can play, is to really build some solid, governance and trust rules around that can be maintained by us in some sort of, sometimes not to formalize everything into 20 pages of agreements. But I think doing that through us can make sure that some of the concerns they have around maybe losing customers or being at risk of competition partners want to play the entire role with customers and stuff like that. I think doing that through us, we can maintain that relationship and sort of build the governance on how they should work together to a customer on certain things. But yeah, that's something we want to learn as well from the market in how can we maintain that, and is there worry about that specific area going to become less over time, right? Because I think we all have the need to really come across the strongest towards the customers, right? And if that helps for both ways, and if we can incentivize partners on doing that together, why not? But the learnings will tell, right? I cannot say we can solve for that, but we definitely want to make sure that we put some rules in place, rules of engagements in place to make this happen at the most comfortable way as possible for all these players in the ecosystem. And
go ahead.
I have to make the comment, right? It's not that, this is the preference of having partners marry with other partners. We can still solve, Ingram has the capability to solve for a lot of gaps, at partners. So while they're not maybe comfortable in that route yet, we can take care of that. We have a rich service portfolio, rich capabilities, so we can always jump in there to solve for any gaps.
I've heard that a lot today, that time to deal for partners is actually what usually makes it the most successful. So really looking at getting out there, getting that first deal or first couple of deals, and then, putting the more formalities around it afterward, as long as you have trust.
That's really important. Yeah. And I think for us, knowing our ecosystem and knowing the partners in our ecosystem, we could do a good job in matching, the right set of partners together. It's like a marriage, right? You have to do. There are people in place that make sure they make a good connection between people, and let's see us as that kind of player in there, and we will do our best to do that right way.
That's fantastic. I think we'll leave it on that marriage note.
I think that's good. Yeah. Otherwise, it will become an entire different, conversation.
I know you're joining us later for the roundtable discussion with
Yeah.
our other speakers. So thank you for sticking around and look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you for your time.